This episode is brought to you by LinkedIn. Psst, healthcare pros, word's out, and it's too good to keep quiet. Look, LinkedIn is revolutionizing job hunting, making it possible to search by specialty, shift preference, and salary. Endless scrolling is out. Whether it's a mental health therapist or dental hygienist, finding the perfect role is faster and easier than ever. Head to linkedin.com/healthcare and start your search today.
And we're back. Joining us now is Jack Posobiec, who is the senior editor at Human Events and the host of Human Events Daily, which has more than 250 million downloads. He is a veteran of U.S. Navy intelligence who served his country both at Guantanamo Bay and in East Asia. And today is his birthday. Jack, happy birthday and welcome to the Roger Stone Show.
Well, Roger, thanks so much. It's been quite a stretch. And you, of course, as my father, remember what it was like all those years ago on the day I was born.
Yeah, he's talking about 2 weeks ago, my wife and I and Jack and his lovely wife were at Mar-a-Lago, and a woman graciously stepped forward, offered to take our picture and said, is this your father?
A fun night. And of course, it's great to be here in studio with you at the incredible WABC studios here in New York City. Tanya Tay joining us as well on this auspicious occasion, Christmas, going into what hopefully will be one of the greatest administrations, perhaps the greatest that America has ever seen.
Yeah, I'm really extraordinarily impressed with the way that the president is doing things quite differently than he did in his first term. And I think this is because he had come to politics from the world of business, and he had what most Americans think, that we have a two-party system and that the two parties oppose each other. I don't think he understood then, which he clearly understands now, is that both parties have been corrupted by a globalist mentality, and that not everybody who's wearing the elephant jersey can be counted on or can be trusted. So,
like Chris Christie,
just to name one, and that's an extra large jersey too. But it is amazing that he's really immersed himself not just in who his cabinet secretaries will be, but who the assistant secretaries will be, and the deputy secretaries, and who is heading these individual independent agencies. For example, I was very happy yesterday to see Congressman Devin Nunes,
absolutely,
who headed the only legitimate investigation into the Russian collusion hoax as chairman of the House Intelligence Committee, named to the Intelligence Oversight Board, President's Intelligence Oversight. Excellent appointment, in my view.
And of course, his lead investigator on that investigation back in 2018 for HPSI, the House Permanent Select Committee on Intelligence, was of course none other than Kash Patel. So Kash Patel, the former head investigator for Nunes moves to the head of the Intelligence Advisory Board for the president. And then, of course, as we all know, Kash Patel has been up on the Hill all week and really just, I think, knocking it out of the park with these Senate meetings that he's been having. No interviews, no press. Pete Hegseth is doing a little bit of press, but less now. And the president has really been standing by all of these nominees in a fantastic way, because the reason I mentioned Chris Christie a second ago is not just for the plus-size jokes, but also for the fact that, think of the transition 2016 into 2017. President Trump, of course, famously took his victory lap, and he went back and conducted rallies throughout the swing states that he won, and throughout December. Actually, even on this day 8 years ago, I remember we were at a rally in Hershey, Pennsylvania, because he went to all the swing states which he won. Well, this time around, he's not doing that. He is squarely focused on the transition, squarely focused on these nominees. And at the time, it had been outsourced to people like Chris Christie. Chris Christie was one of the big guys who came in, and I mean big when it comes to him. And he sort of believed remember some of the names that we don't even think about anymore in the original administration. Rex Tillerson, James Mattis, Mad Dog Mattis. Oh, he was a mad dog, all right. Jeff Sessions, who had been the Attorney General. Again, so many of these people, and then all the way up to and including Mike Pence, who are completely vanished at this point from the political scene and are nowhere near the driver's seat. No, I think when President Trump taking this personal attention to the transition and to the workings of the administration, it shows that he understands differently now how politics actually works and really understands that personnel is key. Because unfortunately, as it turns out in Washington, D.C., even if you are the president of the United States, even if you do win a majority of the states and a majority of the Electoral College and the popular vote this time around, well, as it turns out, just because you say that something must be done doesn't necessarily mean that it will be done. And of course, that was the story pretty much of the entire first administration, save for just about the last year there. And so this really has been, for my mind, the key difference. And of course, now we see also these tech billionaires. So Elon, of course, was there when it mattered and put his money where his mouth was. But now suddenly Zuckerberg is rolling in. I heard Tim Cook was there from Apple a few nights ago at Mar-a-Lago. So they're all lining up to kiss the ring. Jeff Bezos donates $1 million to the inaugural committee. But Roger, I'm just going to say something. I don't trust any one of them. I just don't trust these folks who weren't there, these tech billionaires. They're still banning people. They're still censoring people, and they are not they've not shown that they've turned over a new leaf whatsoever. $1 million to Bezos or Zuckerberg, this is nothing. This is the guy who spent $400 million swinging the 2020 election through the CTCL enterprise and the Zuckerbucks. So I don't think that we as a movement should embrace him with open arms just because he posts a couple videos carrying the American flag and he grew his curly hair out.
Yeah, I mean, Mark Zuckerberg gave $1 million, which to me means he's $449 million short.
Yes.
Because that's what he spent to try to heist the 2020 election. On the other hand, you know Donald Trump, he loves taking their money. These fools think they're buying anything, they're buying nothing.
No.
They're probably paying for their own dinner. So they're at Mar-a-Lago. So they're buying nothing. And the president...
I'll get you a couple of courses at Mar-a-Lago.
But he clearly understands the importance of the effort of them to foster censorship and to try to control the political narrative that way, which will hopefully never happen in America again. Folks, we're talking to Jack Posobiec, senior editor of Human Events, right here on The Roger Stone Show, and we'll be right back.
They come running just as fast as they can. Every girl crazy about a shy gas man.
Impact confirmed. The Slayer has been activated.
Demonic threat level increasing.
Hold the line!
All the power of hell cowering before one man.
id Software presents Doom, The Dark Ages. Available now on Xbox Series X and S, PlayStation 5, and PC.
Rated M for mature.
Clorox Sentiva smells like lavender. Cleans like Clorox. And feels like...
All right, that could go on for a while. Experience the long-lasting freshness of Clorox Sentiva. Available in Clorox Sentiva Lavender Scented Bleach. Use as directed.
Running a business comes with a lot of what-ifs. But luckily, there's a simple answer to them. Shopify. It's the commerce platform behind millions of businesses, including Thrive Cosmetics and Momofuku. And it'll help you with everything you need. From website design and marketing to boosting sales and expanding operations, Shopify can get the job done and make your dream a reality. Turn those what-ifs into... Sign up for your $1 per month trial at shopify.com/special offer.
In golf, precision is everything, on and off the course. PGA of America chose advanced 5G solutions from T-Mobile for Business for smooth operations and seamless transactions. Together, we enhance ticketing and concessions for better fan experiences from gate to green. This is pro-level efficiency. This is PGA of America with T-Mobile for Business. Take your business further at T-Mobile.com/now.
This is the Roger Stone Show, presented by Colonial Metals Group.
A man who's gone through hell, but he's kept going, and he's smart, and he's strong, and people love him. Not everybody, but people love him and respect him. Roger Stone.
Now, here's Roger Stone.
And we're back. This is the Roger Stone Show, and we're talking to Jack Posobiec, the senior editor at Human Events and host of Human Events Daily, and it's his birthday. Jack, it was revealed this week, I guess in the Inspector General's report, that there were as many as 26 undercover FBI operatives at the Capitol on January 6th, which seemed to be, particularly as someone who was charged with lying to Congress, when in fact I didn't lie to Congress, this would be a problem for FBI Director Christopher Wray. Let's listen to Director Wray.
Human sources dressed as Trump supporters inside the Capitol on January the 6th prior to the doors being open?
Again, I have to be very careful.
It should be a no. Can you not tell the American people no? We did not have confidential human sources dressed as Trump supporters positioned inside the Capitol.
Gentlemen's time has expired. You should not read anything into my decision.
Congressman Clay Higgins there, former sheriff and a great American, asking the questions. Jack, shouldn't this be a problem for Christopher Wray?
Well, Chris Wray was clearly being deceptive there. Shouldn't read anything into this. I need to be careful. He's clearly equivocating on the point, because I think probably at that point he had been briefed prior to Higgins's testimony, or Higgins's questioning, I should say, that there were, in fact, confidential human sources on the ground at the January 6th event. And to the point, and I'd say this in response to CNN and MSNBC and CBC and everything else that's out there, they have been parading their anchors and anchorettes across the news wave, saying that there were no FBI employees, no FBI agents, very specific phraseology over and over and over. Politico even went so far as to add the headline, "No FBI agents undercutting right-wing conspiracy theories," of course, favorite phrase since the days of Hillary Clinton, halcyon days. And they never asked the question, but were there informants who, by the way, are paid informants? FBI informants are handsomely paid, by the way, sometimes to the tune of over $100,000. And so they are, in fact, on the payroll of the FBI. But yes, they are not official 1811 FBI special agents. No, it's very clear to me that Chris Wray, who, now keep in mind, look what happened just last week. He resigned just one day prior to this report being released. So there's no question in my mind that, of course, the media wants to claim, oh, President Trump is putting pressure on him. He's getting out before he can. And there's no question in my mind. Number one, he received a leaked copy, an early copy, and we know these were circulating throughout Washington, D.C. I received an early copy about 30 minutes before it was released. And he got that. He understood what was going on, and I wouldn't be surprised, Roger, if Chris Wray were on the phone right now to the White House saying, those blanket pardons that you're working on for everybody, put me in for one of those as well.
Yeah, it's interesting that just this last week, Congresswoman Liz Cheney said that any lawyer who sought to question the actions or activities of the January 6th committee would be subject to sanctions. Well, we now know definitively that she suborned perjury by at least one witness, went around that witness's lawyer, for which she could be sanctioned. She knew that the woman was represented. She looks to me like she's whistling through the graveyard. A full investigation by the House or by the Justice Department of the January 6th committee investigation, I really think is required. You have suborning of perjury, you have destruction of evidence, you have suppression of testimony, you have the extensive use of AI to change exhibits, videos. This is a made-for-television TV movie, but it's a massive fraud on the American people.
Well, it's a complete fraud, and any true investigation into one of these events, and it's, of course, I would put it akin to the 9/11 Commission or, say, the JFK Warren Commission, one of these commissions that don't actually get you evidence. They don't actually conduct a thorough investigation of the events or event in question. Instead, what they give you is a sanitized version read off of the corporate boilerplate of the Uniparty of Washington, D.C. And in this case, a simple statement like this: why wouldn't the January 6th Commission or committee have given us the information about the 26 paid informants? They could have easily gotten that information from the FBI. They didn't. They didn't ask for it. And the reason is because they were seeking to prosecute everyone who was a target, everyone who was a member, or everyone who simply attended that day and peacefully marched, as is their God-given First Amendment right in the United States of America to petition the government for a redress of grievances. And so the other big piece of this, Roger, that I think a lot of people need to look at is quite simply the fact that this information of the 26 paid informants that we have in the IG report was not provided to any criminal defendant, to any defendant of any of the January 6 cases, gives President Trump unequivocal ability to pardon every single one of the J6ers from day one, minute one of his administration. In fact, he could do it from the inaugural speech, the inaugural address, if he so wanted.
Jack, stand by. We're going to take a quick word from our sponsor.
Now, it's time for Protecting Your Future, sponsored by Colonial Metals Group. Here's Roger Stone.
The current administration's plan for digital currency, that's where your paper money would be worth nothing, and they'd give you a plastic credit card to buy all your purchases, thus controlling your money. The wild spending that continues in Washington, which President Trump is going to tackle, but which will take time because much of it is baked in, along with this constant attack on the value of the dollar, is the reason why thousands and thousands of Americans are now protecting their nest eggs, their IRAs, their 401ks, their retirement by acquiring precious metals like gold and silver. The folks at Colonial Metals Group are the only people that I trust to do this. I urge you to reach out to them by going to freegoldguide.com, freegoldguide.com. Throughout the history of man, gold has always withstood every crisis. Check it out by going to freegoldguide.com. We return to Jack Posobiec, the senior editor of Human Events, and our discussion. Jack, I have to ask you this because we're besieged by these questions. The drones.
Oh, yes.
The drones. The drones seem to be popping up everywhere. When my cousins out in Connecticut start sending me pictures from their backyard of what they say are drones, I start to take notice. What do you think's going on here?
Well, I will say this, with all due respect to Congressman Van Drew of the Atlantic City area, I do not believe that these are the work of the state of Iran, the Islamic State of Iran, and a mothership that is operating off of the coast of our territorial waters here in the United States off the eastern seaboard. I say that as a Navy intelligence officer. There is no way Iran would have the capability to do so, let alone, quite frankly, field a ship that far away from the Persian Gulf. It is simply not something that's within the capabilities of their Navy. That's number one. Number two, the idea that any foreign adversary would be able to do so without the knowledge of the U.S. government. Keep in mind, this is the government that we have the NSA, which is specifically designed, in addition to stealing all of our information and all of our cell phone signals, the NSA's core purpose was always to track military equipment and military frequencies. The idea that we would not be able to do so without some permission, it's ludicrous given the capabilities of our national intelligence infrastructure. That said, it is most likely to me that this is some sort of, you could call it Project Bluebeam. You could call it some sort of government operation. You could call it some sort of test. It is very clear to me that the federal government or entities within our federal government are up to something. The question is, why is it that it doesn't seem like Joe Biden or any of the members of his government actually know what it is? And so it raises a couple of questions for us. Number one, who is actually in control of the government? Number two, why is it that we don't seem to have any ability at the federal government level to answer these basic questions? And number three, it raises awareness, I think, for all of us of the very real threat of these drones to civilians if they are used for, number one, say, a criminal act, or number two, perhaps a political act of violence. We saw a drone employed by Thomas Matthew Crooks, President Trump's would-be assassin at the Butler rally. Now, he did not strap explosives to that drone, but he certainly could have, as someone who had a background in mechanical engineering and someone who had a 1,500 on his SATs. That's the original SAT scoring, by the way. So he clearly could have used that. That's why, by the way, if you look at President Trump's Secret Service detail, they are now using more and more anti-drone technologies. And anti-drone capabilities are quite effective, but we've also seen how incredibly lethal these drones have been. And you, of course, were reading and speaking before about the Ukraine war, the Ukraine battlefield, and the advancements in drone technology have absolutely and exponentially increased their lethality. So if these drones were not us, I do believe they are U.S. government, but if they were not, I think it's a wake-up call to everyone out there, and particularly to President Trump's detail when we look at different events, Roger, like, for example, I don't know, the inauguration that's taking place in just 1 month's time in Washington, D.C.
Jack, you are specifically in town for the New York Young Republican Club Winter Gala. The New York Young Republican Club is the oldest and largest, and I would say the most vibrant young Republican club in the country today. I myself am a former Young Republican national chairman. It's been my pleasure to be honored at this event in the past. Members of this club include Governor Thomas E. Dewey, then Republican Mayor John Lindsay, former Vice President, later President Richard M. Nixon, Herbert Brownell, who was the Attorney General of the United States. This is a historic gathering, black tie, I might add. I'm going to try to get there. I have a conflict tonight. I'm also going to the Italian American Civil Rights League Christmas celebration and award ceremony. So I'm going to try to be in two places at once. But please thank my many friends there. Congratulate the leaders of what is, without any question, the largest, most vibrant club in the country.
Absolutely, Roger, and we're very excited for the gala. President Trump, of course, was the keynote speaker at last year's gala. But I would add, though, that the success of the New York Young Republicans has led to a number of young Republican groups around the country trying to take what they've done and replicate this, with mixed success, to be sure, but you do see it actually happening. This is actually, Roger, something similar to what you were talking about with the Republican Party, because as it stands, a lot of the state party apparatuses and the even municipal apparatus for the Republican Party in many of these areas are a bit hard to take over, to convert to full MAGA control. But the young Republicans groups in many of these areas have shown themselves able to. And so I've seen great things come out of the Washington, D.C. young Republicans, as well as Miami and even the Maricopa County young Republicans, where I actually might be speaking late in next week.
Yeah, the Miami Young Republicans have their Christmas gala coming up on the 18th.
Yes.
I'm going to try to make it there as well. Young Republicans produce the manpower, the people who actually knock on the doors, who actually make the calls, particularly when the regular Republican Party is hidebound. They're more interested in staying in party office than they are in winning elections in many, many places. So this is going to be a great event tonight. Please give everybody my regards. I hope to get there late. But it is a testimony that individuals who get involved and get affiliated with a group like the New York Young Republicans can make a very real difference. Jack, tell folks where they can see your show on a daily basis.
Yes, of course. So Human Events Daily airs on the Real America's Voice Network, RAV, immediately after the Charlie Kirk Show at 2 p.m. Eastern from Monday to Friday.
All right, we're going to be back with just a little more of Jack Posobiec on the other side. You can listen to us, of course, by going to WABCRadio.com, no matter where you are in the country. I'm Roger Stone. This is the Red Apple Audio Network. And whatever you do, don't touch that dial.
This is the Roger Stone Show.
Shopping is hard, right? But I found a better way. Stitch Fix online personal styling makes it easy. I just give my stylist my size, style, and budget preferences. I order boxes when I want and how I want. No subscription required. And he sends just for me pieces, plus outfit recommendations and styling tips. I keep what works and send back the rest. It's so easy. Make style easy. Get started today at stitchfix.com/Spotify. That's stitchfix.com/Spotify.
Home means something different to everyone. But with Rocket Mortgage, home can mean even more. It can mean a college education, taming your high-interest debt, even a renovation. We've made it easier than ever to use your home equity. That home you worked so hard for, now it can work hard for you. Call 800-4ROCKET or visit rocket.com to find out more.
Rocket Mortgage, LLC, licensed in all 50 states, and MLSConsumerAccess.org, number 3030.
Oh my God, it's the coolest thing ever. Hey guys, have you heard of Goldbelly? Well, check this out. It's this amazing site where they ship the most iconic, famous foods from restaurants across the country, anywhere nationwide. I've never found a more perfect gift than food. They ship Chicago deep dish pizza, New York bagels, Maine lobster rolls, and even Ina Garten's famous cakes. Seriously. So if you're looking for a gift for the food lover in your life, head to goldbelly.com and get 20% off your first order with promo code GIFT.
Morning decisions. A creamy mocha frappuccino drink? A sweet vanilla? Maybe a smooth caramel? Or that white chocolate mocha? Whichever you choose, delicious coffee awaits. Start your day with bottled Starbucks Frappuccino drinks. Pick up a bottle near you wherever you buy your groceries.
Richard Nixon, Ronald Reagan, George W. Bush, and Donald Trump.
They went after a guy named Roger Stone, who's sitting in the office. And I'll say this in front of Roger, he's no baby. And right now, he's cleaner than anybody in this place. No, they treated him very unfairly.
All of these presidents relied on one man to secure their seat in the Oval Office. That man is Roger Stone.
Roger Stone.
This is the Roger Stone Show, presented by Colonial Metals Group. Now, here's Roger Stone.
And we're back with Jack Posobiec, the senior editor at Human Events. Coming along next, Callie Means, who is an advisor to Robert F. Kennedy Jr. and President Donald Trump in the efforts to make America healthy again. He's going to talk to us about the focused fight against chronic childhood disease. But Jack, before we let you go, I want to talk for a second about the nomination of Tulsi Gabbard, the former four-term Democrat congresswoman from Hawaii, member of the House Foreign Affairs and Armed Services Committee, a lieutenant colonel in the U.S. Army Reserve who served her country with distinction in combat roles in both Iraq and Kuwait. Some in the body politic are questioning her patriotism, her loyalty to the United States, simply because she does not want to ship billions more to the effort for war in Ukraine. Developments in that confirmation.
Well, that's right, Roger. And not only that, but she's also someone who warned potentially of the fallout should a Islamic extremist group take over Syria and overthrow Bashar al-Assad. This, in fact, happened. It's something that she was raked over the coals for, and yet it turns out that her prediction was 100% accurate. That is what we've seen in the Middle East. She's also warned about escalation with Russia and others. But one of the biggest pieces, I think, of developments here in just the last 72 hours is that the CIA's former counterterrorism chief, a man by the name of Bernard Hudson, who's also a lecturer and fellow at the Belfer Center for Security Studies over at Harvard, in fact, came out with a full-throated endorsement of Tulsi Gabbard and her capabilities, as well as the bipartisanship it shows in the intelligence community. He said, I think she is not only qualified for the position, but in fact the perfect pick. And in fact, he spoke about the numerous misses of the intelligence community over the past several years, affairs, possibly the largest of which being the Russiagate affair, when it seemed as though our entire national security infrastructure, Roger, made it out to be that Donald Trump and his family and his advisors, you yourself, and even me and my wife to a smaller extent, were all appendages somehow of the Russian Federation and the government of Vladimir Putin, when nothing could be any further from the truth, and said, we need absolute reform of the intelligence community, the same way that Elon Musk and Vivek Ramaswamy are talking about with Doge, the same way that Pete Hegseth is talking about at the Pentagon to make them focused on war fighting. And instead, our intelligence community has been more interested in playing politics rather than focusing on the needs of the nation. And Tulsi Gabbard, herself a former Democrat, would be the perfect person to come in and do so. I thought it was a fantastic endorsement for her, and something that is really going to be turning heads on Capitol Hill of many Republicans who understandably may not be so keen to nominate a former Democrat, but hopefully someone who they will be listening to.
Yeah, I have heard, for example, that Senator Rounds of South Dakota is thinking about voting against Tulsi Gabbard. My guess, first of all, is the president's victory in South Dakota was overwhelming. I bet his approval rating is in the 90s. The people have spoken. And if folks live in South Dakota listening to the show today, I urge you to go online, get the senator's phone number of his state offices and his email address, and politely let him know that he should bow to the will of the American people, that he should give President Trump his nominees, and those particularly include Tulsi Gabbard. As you know, Jack, that's the way it has always been.
Well, and Roger, Mike Rounds, of course, he's up for election in 2026, isn't he? I'd sure feel sorry to have to tell Elon Musk and the America PAC, very well funded, by the way, that this senator was not voting for the wishes of the choice of the people, Donald J. Trump.
Yeah, I think that is very well put. South Dakotans, I think you heard that. You know what to do. Jack Posobiec, thank you so much for joining us today on The Roger Stone Show. And once again, happy birthday, my friend.
God bless. Thanks, Dad.